I'm Booth Parker, and today on the 12 Days of Christmas Cooking, we are going to make a chocolate chess pie. So this is one of those recipes that I have had on a little index card covered in chocolate and butter and all sorts of smears from over the years. It is very, very simple to make and it's delicious. This recipe will make one full pie. I would recommend, if you're doing a store-bought crust, to do the deeper dish one, or it will make 12 tartlets in these smaller shells. So today we're going to make it in the tart shells. The reason I like to do it in the tart shells is it does set up a little bit better, and it makes great dessert when you have a crowd, for someone to just grab their own individual little pie instead of having to cut a slice. Additionally, this recipe freezes very well. So you could wrap the individual tarts in foil and then put them in a freezer bag. You can take them right out of the freezer frozen and eat them just like that, and they are delicious. So if you want something that you can stow away in the freezer a little bit, definitely do it in the tart shells. So we are going to get our shells ready. Definitely put them on a pan and fill the batter on the pan. This is a very wet batter, therefore it spills easily. So even if you're doing the full pie, I would definitely recommend putting the shell onto a baking dish of some sort and pouring the filling in the crust on the dish, just for ease of getting it to the oven without spilling. So I have my tart shells ready. The next thing I want to do is get all my ingredients laid out. So we're going to use sugar. We'll use 1.5 cups of sugar. We will use unsweetened cocoa powder. We'll use 3 tablespoons of that. We will use 2 eggs, 5 ounces of evaporated milk. If you can find the small cans, that's exactly what they are. I have not been able to find those, so I buy this resealable container and just measure out the 5 ounces. Going to do 1/2 cup of butter, which is 1 stick, and you're going to need to melt that completely through before you get started. And then you'll have a teaspoon of vanilla. So I am going to get started by melting my butter in my mixing bowl. Okay, so here I have the melted butter in my mixing bowl, and I'm just going to add all the other ingredients and then I will whisk them together. So it's 1.5 cups of sugar. This is a 1/2 cup scoop. It's really easy to get into my container here. Okay, so there is the sugar. And next we're going to do the unsweetened cocoa. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons. Make sure you get them nice and level. Okay, so there is the cocoa. Next, I'm going to add my 2 eggs here. Okay, so there are the 2 eggs, and then next we are going to do the evaporated milk. So that was 5 ounces. Here we are. I'm going to add it straight to the bowl. And then last but not least is the teaspoon of vanilla. And that is it. And so we're going to gently whisk this together. Because it's so wet, it'll slosh pretty easily. So definitely want to gently whisk it together. Be sure to scrape the sides really well. The cocoa powder likes to cling to the sides and stay dry. So definitely whisk it in. So I just take a simple shallow ladle and fill the tarts. If you are doing the whole pie shell, it's easiest if you just pour the batter into the pie shell already on the baking sheet. But for the tarts, it's a little bit easier to do it like this and get them even into the shells. So we'll just scoop this out for all 12, and then we will get them in the oven baking. They go in an oven preheated to 350. So for the chocolate chess pie, topping it is always fun. I tend to like to make some homemade whipped cream, maybe add a few berries. So here in my mixing bowl, I have 1 cup of very cold heavy cream, or you can use whipping cream. I have 2 tablespoons of confectioners, that's hard to say, or commonly called powdered sugar. Some people like granulated. I think the powdered sugar gives it a little more fluffy taste and texture. So you're going to use 2 tablespoons of that, and then half a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to use a handheld mixer. It's just a small bowl. You can use your countertop mixer if you want to. So we are going to whisk this until some peaks start to form that are fairly, firm. They're not falling on their own, but you don't want to over whisk it. So it's kind of got a perfect place it gets to. This is best to make right before you serve it. If you do need to make it ahead, make it and then immediately cover it really well and put it in the refrigerator so it stays cool, and that will help hold its shape and texture. And it takes a couple minutes to get the peaks to form. Okay, so here I have some peaks starting to form. So I'm getting close. It's getting a good texture where it's holding its shape. And this is ready to serve right on top of the chocolate chess pies. Enjoy.